Have made quite a name for yourself, Fatebinder. Stories of your deeds have spread through the tiers, and all of them have reached this court. Some actions have consequences. We will see what your actions have wrought. The chaos you've sown everywhere is unacceptable. You cast yourself so far outside the established order, I cannot begin to catalog your misdeeds. For this, you have been deemed guilty and must be executed.
Glare silently.
Defiant to the end. That will be your undoing. Hubris in the face of annihilation. My court and the world at large are better rid of you, wretched thing. Blood and Mark, execute him.
Oh, this should be good. Shadows pool and merge briskly together. Long wisps like blade billows twist and snap as Blood and Mark emerges from the coalescing darkness. Against the expectation of the room, his deadly focus falls not to you, but to Tunon.
Forgive me, Adjudicator, but this dagger now cuts for another Archon. I'm going to slice you from throat to thigh and bleed your insides out, but I'll make it quick.
4 days end here!
The Archon of Justice floats with utter equipoise, an iron grace, stolid and unmoving in the face of Blood and Mark's attack. A myriad of shadow doubles converge on the Archon, darting, slicing, and skewering with dripping black blades as deadly as they are immaterial. But the Adjudicator makes no move to dodge. Instead, he merely snatches one by the throat and lifts it high before him. The shadow immediately begins to seep and dissolve into nothingness, slipping with a hiss through black-gloved fingers, but before it can escape, the Adjudicator slams the aft of his gavel against the ground, rocking the court with a staggering shock wave of raw power. A blindingly white light flares from the head of the gavel, and the wisping, trashing shadow of Tunon's grip snaps harshly into the very solid form of Blood and Mark, sneering with pain as every last shadow in the room burns hotly away.
A cur, believing he has severed his leash, would bite at his own master's hand. I see I must bring you to heel.
The Archon's voice reverberates with disdain, rattling the room's walls when he speaks.
I removed the binding of shadows. You have no hold on me. Adjudicator, who taught you?
He rasps a ragged breath, face turned against the searing light, expression twisted in agony as his skin singes and begins to peel away. Ugh! He chokes and writes against Tunon's grip, but every dagger he draws dissipates in the harsh glare of light. His skin burns and his clothes smokes, and finally a jagged cry escapes his throat.
Did you think the Overlord favored you because she spared you once? Did you believe that she would one day allow you to defeat me? That she would entrust you to me with no sound means for discipline?
Tunon lifts Mark higher into the light.
Sorry, kid. Can't help you after all. Don't worry. Won't die.
The assistant twists enough to look at you. He grimaces a wistful sort of half-smile. His eyes widen as the light bursts through him in several places, disintegrating whole chunks of his body.
Begone, and reflect upon the consequence of your choices, Archon of Shadows. Suffer in a state of endless illumination until I deem you have corrected your misbehavior. Begone, Archon of Shadows. You bring disgrace to your very station.
Oh, this should be good.
Find such impertinence in my very court. All will be punished in due time. You, Fatebinder, will be the first.
Even behind Tunon's mask of resolve, you know that behind it lies a man of trembling anger. He slams his staff to the ground. It should be interesting. Let's go, guys. This is it.
Watch and learn.
He cannot be blinded. Can he bleed?
Are you afraid of death, worm?
Stunned. Cannot prone. Dude, I'm still stunned. It takes a while. He can bleed. Can he burn? Nope, doesn't seem like it.
Your judgment will be severe.
Intimidate, no. Shit, I'm stunned again.
Damn my eyes!
I got it.
Man, that stun takes a long time. Okay, I made him bleed, and he's down to orange. Hey, Jackie! Oh, it's okay. It's okay, I'm super happy to see you, though. Aww. Thank you so much, Jackie, for stopping by. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm super happy to see you. I hope you had a great day today. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. And I can't wait to see you more. Oh god. What is he doing now? Seems like it's gonna hurt. Ah, that wasn't that bad.
I think my wisdom is finally catching up to my age. Huh.
Can he not be terrified? Maybe he can't.
I got it.
Thank you.
Are you afraid of death, worm?
Good work.
Finally. Took a while. Okay, let's go back.
Right.
Bleed him.
I'm terrible at this. How am I not dead yet?
He's almost dead.
Smash to pieces!
Need to hear your voice too. I've been missing. Oh, I've been missing you too. Really.
Striking down our
Thought I would
kind
stay,
is
but
more
need to
than
sleep. Not feeling
simply
that great, but I will
the
pass.
pounding of a
Okay.
mallet.
Thank you so much for being here, though. I really do appreciate it, Jackie. You're awesome. You have learned much in your few years, Archon. Striking down our kind is more than the swinging of a blade or pounding of a mallet.
There are Kairos' laws, and the laws that govern our natural order. I fear they often diverge. I have broken the laws of nature for too long. Life should end in its course. And this is my time at last.
Through the pain, you can hear something like a satisfaction in Tunan's words.
Kairos is coming. An army swifter and more dangerous than disfavored and Scarlet Chorus combined makes for the Tears, propelled by the Overlord's will. Your efforts here are wasted. You cannot halt this advance.
Can't I? An edict issued upon the Northern Empire should do the trick.
Perhaps I underestimated you. You wield the talents of the Overlord. Better that you use them to end your life, because Kairos will dismantle everything you attempt to build. Good luck.
Tunan raises his arms up high and looks at the ceiling of his court. With a flash of arcane power, the Archon is no more. The Adjudicator has fallen. I never thought the paragon of Kairos' justice would see himself judged, much less in his own court. Kairos' puppet is no more. Ebb pounds her staff to the ground in triumph. Good night to you too, Jackie. Have a very good night. This is a great symbolic victory. We have smashed the public faith of Kairos' lawful and legitimate control of the Tears. This will be remembered as a day of liberation. If you had told me this morning we're going to slay the oldest living Archon, and I have thought you mad. Sketching what remains of the Archon of Justice, Lentry Hands moves with hurried excitement. I bet he never thought it'd be done by one of his own Fadebinders. His downfall would make for a most amusing chapter of the Chronicle. Dude, he turned to stone? Archon's Judgment. Judge an enemy, freezing them in a solid block of ice. While in this state, they are unable to take any actions. These effects scale with the face of Judgment's renown. Dude. Wowza. Rule of Law? It's a staff. Immunity to blinded and 10% will defense. It's his gavel. Can I equip? But I would lose a bunch of stuff. I would lose 7% deflection. That's a lot.
On it.
I have to go back to the Mountain Spire. Issue an edict upon the Northern Kingdoms.
On it.
The waves of energy radiating from the spire draw you forward, pressing your body and mind to its eager embrace. At the center of this tide, the resonator stands ready to broadcast your voice, echoing your commandments to the farthest reaches of the Tears and beyond. From here, the highest point in all the peninsula, you could, with the sum total of your effort, project your will far north, past the edges of the Tears, and proclaim your edict as far as the lands of the Northern Empire. Turn to your companions. This is probably... No, you know what? Turn to your companions. Any requests?
How could you ask such a thing? I can't possibly make such a far-reaching decision. I'm sorry you have more options than you have convictions.
Najee swats his quill at you as he switches to his sepia ink. Just because you can rain fire and ash on them, all doesn't mean you have to, right? I hate to say this, but you don't want to... Yes, I'm saying this. Rule an empty wasteland, do you? Turn to your companion. This probably amounts to a declaration of war against the Overlord. Ready? I knew we'd make our stand at Venereans well. I just imagined we'd all die miserable. We would have predicted the Archon of the Tears would save us. Now, don't you have a gratuitous display of magic to show the Overlord? I'm wet with anticipation. Oh god. Opportunities, I can feel it like a coaxing breeze. Not since Graven Ash stood against Kairos has anyone made such a dent in the Overlord's defenses. It has been an honor serving at your side. Come what may, I'm ready to face it. Barik nods to you. This is new territory for us all. You're the first to strike a blow directly at the Overlord. Make sure it counts. Hope you don't mind if I stand back and take notes. By all means, continue. This will be an opening strike. Perhaps the Tears will conquer the Northern Empire. If this ends with the Overlord's ribcage fashioned into an elaborate war staff, I'm with you on that. The people of the Tears will never be left alone by the other Archons. The moment we stop fighting is the moment we lose what we've earned thus far. Oh boy. Oh, this is the Northern Empire. Okay. Enemy effect was all 5 to all magic skills. Let's do it. Nightfall it is.
The Tears have been conquered, unified at last under a single banner. Your
Why is it
edict
lagging this
brings
much?
devastation and ruin to the Northern Empire. Some believe the edict to be Kairos' work. Others hope, or fear, that this edict comes from a new voice.
Yeah.
Kairos' forces withdraw from their march upon the Tears, as they are sent into disarray by your edict. With none left in the Tears to challenge your claim, you fortify your grasp on the war-torn realm. The Overlord's conquest of the known world has come to a halt, and the whisper of a challenger to Kairos' power slowly spreads throughout the land.
That is interesting. Your Edict of Nightfall shrouds the northern capital in unending darkness. While some remain in their homes and beg Kairos for salvation, those less hopeful make for brighter parts of the Empire, seeking the warmth of the sun and wondering how it was that the Overlord could not protect them. As chaos ensued in the Northern Kingdom, the armies marching on the Tears received an unprecedented order. The armies were to fall back to the capital and ensure the safety of its people from the edict. For the first time in Kairos' great conquest, the armies retreated. Soon, questions would be asked in a hushed breath across the lands about what new and terrible power had emerged that could force the hand of the Overlord. You fulfilled Kairos' decree, and all the Tears is now ruled by a single Archon. Your former rivals have either submitted to you or perished, bringing the civil war to a close. Neither of the Archons charged with conquering the Tiers impressed you enough to follow their lead. You ultimately defied your orders, seeing a better way to gain control, eliminating every Archon who dared stand in your way. You carved your own seat of power in the Tiers, keeping yourself independent from the Northern Empire. In their pride, the disfavored never imagined themselves beaten, especially when their opponents appeared so disorganized. The last remnants of the Legion dispersed, the General destroyed, their honor broken beyond mending. The scorn that follows their humbled ranks haunts them even in the depths of obscurity. The Scarlet Chorus may have been mighty in numbers, but that didn't stop you from thoroughly scattering them, cutting off the Serpent's head and sending each of the gangs howling back to the chaos they sowed. How the remnants of the Horde occupy themselves without a war to fight becomes a topic of nightmares. Word of your success spreads beyond the Tiers as well. Even the most distant corners of the Empire whisper of the Fatebinder who rose to become an Archon, and an Archon whose intervention shattered the Conquest, making way for a new future in the devastated nation. Without the authority of Kairos' Archons to ensure the Overlord's vision of the world, the fall of the Conquest becomes a great revolution. Warring factions struggle for dominance, and fighting is a fact of daily life. Every group insists the situation is an opportunity for the Tiers to rebuild as they see fit. The Edict of Stone continues to ravage a stone sea, sapping the land of arcane power and shifting the terrain at increasingly treacherous angles. Any evidence of the former realm of Azure vanishes over time until all that survives is a memory. Cairn, left to suffer in his half-dead state, continues to cause earthquakes throughout the stone sea, eventually leading the remaining humans to leave as the area becomes more unstable. By letting the Edict of Stone persist, you allow the Stone Stalkers to develop a nation of their own, where beastmen are free to grow their culture away from human habitation. The tribe expands by welcoming the strong and expending the weak, grooming their ranks for a prosperous tomorrow. The Stone Stalkers grow in power using the magic-infused crystal to fuel their spells. The death of the Radix is a huge blow to the disfavored. Without the support of the Mage Guild, the Legion finds itself outclassed for the first time and suffers on the battlefield. By claiming Sentinel Stand for yourself, your renown spread across the region and everyone comes to know you as the liberator of the country's most iconic fortress. That you claimed it for pride instead of any tactical advantage is a point of contention which your harshest detractors never fail to cite in their long list of grievance. To save her child, Amelia abdicated her claim to the throne of Stalwart. Lacking allies or a mission beyond survival, she bundles her baby clothes and sets out to find a safer, less warlike frontier in modest anonymity. If the need arises, she is ready to protect the precious burden with her life. Though it takes time to recover from the devastation of the Edict of Storm, the Blade Graves begins its slow march towards healing. The realm of Stalwart may never resemble its former glory, but the land is not so blasted that something new and better can't be built atop the bones of the past. The Regent bloodline has ended. With it, new traditions and legacies spring to life. Following Bledenmark's direction, you fought your way through the Scarlet Chorus in control of the Vellum Citadel and fought your way to the Silent Archive. By removing it from the building, you were able to end the Edict of Fire and also acquire an artifact of immense power. By taking the Silent Archive from its pedestal and disrupting the preservation spell holding the Vellum Citadel in stasis, you caused the collapse of the single largest repository of knowledge in Teradus. The world may never know the true extent of the loss. Though the sages persist in wandering the Tiers and gathering research, the loss of the Vellum Citadel proves too crippling a defeat. The scribes and mages seek opportunities away from their old home, and new refuge where they can start again, this time making sure that their knowledge doesn't fall into the wrong hands. By withholding the Magebane Helm from Leithin's Crossing, you sabotaged the city's protection against the Bane, haunting its borders from inside the hold walls. Sensing the vulnerability in its defenses, an unstoppable wave of Bane invaded Leithin's Crossing, wreaking havoc and causing a catastrophic loss of life. The few ragged survivors abandoned the city of the Scourges, never to return. Oh no! You allowed the Forge-bound Master to live, as your life held no bearing on your greater schemes. With Ash dead and the disfavored floundering, the Forge-bound also fail, having lost their main source of work. Eventually, their numbers dwindled to a handful of skilled Forge workers who only take commissions from the very wealthy. Reef Talon attempts to play doting mother to the wound community prove ineffectual. She tries to establish a sense of discipline and hard work, but her self-doubt sabotages her methods. She never overcomes the suspicion of the rest of the wound. As wounded denizens abandon their patrols or listlessly perform chores, life in the settlements deteriorates, Bane attacks become more common, and people begin to leave. Oh no! Jaspus and Wagstaff finally find common cause, critiquing Reef Talon's leadership. Far from uniting them, however, it only further polarizes the settlement, each of the mages moving once again to solidify a base of power from which to claim authority. By enacting an edict on Vendrian Swell, you announced your power to the world and showed Kairos' forces what you were capable of. When you defeated your leader and scattered the army before you, it sent a message to Kairos: a new Archon is born. While the edict dissipated, its effects will always be felt as the first true threat to Kairos' rule. The death of Graven Ash means the end of the disfavored. Without the comfort and support of the Great General, what remains of the Legion sinks into hopelessness. The Archon's seat is left vacant, and whether or not it can be occupied again is a heated topic. For far from its place of final rest, the Northern Empire mourns its fallen son. Killing the Voices in the Rat spreads the joy of bloody vengeance across the continent. Celebrated as the death of history's greatest parasite, the occasion is marked by all who suffered under the oppression of the Scarlet Chorus. Even in victory, one thought nags you. Though you witness his death, you can't help but wonder if the Voices in the Rat is done with you. Ooh. With the death of Tunon the Abjudicator, the bastard city threatens to slide back into its lawless ways. Keeping the peace and imposing a new definition of order commands all of your focus. You learn to delegate the responsibilities to a new court of Fatebinders who will lighten the burden and make the Archon's absence a manageable setback. The fealty of a killer like Bleeding Mark leaves you constantly glancing over your shoulder. You gain a measure of comfort by retaining his skills as a headsman, keeping him busy with assignments that take him far from your seat of power. As the spans pass, you come to rely on his knack for rooting out agents of your enemies and sleep easier under his watchful protection. Awesome! You may have released Barrick from his twisted shell of bronze and armor, but you will never free him of his debasement, nor does he make any attempts to liberate himself from you. At times you wonder if it was truly the armor that kept him filthy at all, or if it was merely the excuse he clung to for his regressions. Angry and morose, Barrick brutally vents his frustration upon the troops in his charge, quickly becoming the most feared and loathed of your drill masters. Good lord. Barrick sometimes disappears for weeks without warning, always returning more morose and muck-covered than he left. The spy you sent to track him on one of those excursions reports that he wanders the path of the conquest, laying to proper rest his fallen disfavored comrades. It seems an impossibly large task for the lifetime of a lone man, even one who so desperately seeks atonement. Oh, that is so sad. Though freed of his twisted shell of bronze and iron, Barrick seems little less morose. Oh, so eventually, he moves forward from the Edict of Storms only haltingly, attention half turned ahead towards an uncertain future and half behind at the choices that brought him here. The Northerner remains dedicated to the oaths he has sworn to you, drilling your forces and commanding them in the field. If he isn't exactly loved by your troops, he at least holds their respect. In the rare times of calms, he takes leaves of absence from your service, scouring the blade grave for the fallen sons and daughters of the Northern Empire and leaving them to proper rest. Though the somber task seems one beyond the meager lifespan allotted to soldiers, Barrick returns from each of these excursions standing just a bit more upright. In the absence of the Voices of the Rat and the need to avenge her fallen sisters, Verse discovers something akin to contentment. For a time, you find her high atop your spire, face turned towards the horizon, with eyes closed against the wind that ruffles the feathers in her hair. It doesn't last. Verse disappears from your service without a farewell. When she returns months later, she is trailed by a desperate gang of young women recruited from every corner of the tiers. Farmers, merchants, and former nobles, hungry for greatness, all pledged to study the bloody lessons Verse has to impart. Her new callous sisterhood grows slowly compared to the chorus, but each member makes of violence a mesmerizing dance. Soon Verse and her cadre become the most feared of your enforcers, achieving a notoriety almost akin to that of Bleeding Mark. Wow, that's so cool. Lentry keeps a close watch over you, scribbling his account of your deeds and accomplishments. In his tireless quest to fill the chronicle with history and knowledge, he follows you even into his twilight years, and together you learn much about the world. You pretend not to notice Lentry's waning strength, though you find yourself pausing mid-sentence to let his writing catch up. He recognizes your generous ruse and appreciates it in silence. Ebb remains in your company, where she seeks out promising recruits among your supporters. After recognizing some obvious talents, she takes on a team of apprentices in a new school of would-be tidecasters. Though she often jokes that the school is bound to fail with her at the helm, her students think otherwise, as do the many dozens of hopefuls who come begging for her tutelage. With no desire to remain in the company of humans, Kills and Shadows return to the wilderness and seeks out her own kind. She discovers a haggard community of beastmen who abandon the realms of Haven and Azure, only to be enslaved by Kairos' forces. Out of this rabble of defectors, she forges a tribe, their nomadic ways respecting no established border or law. They raid villages and caravan when possible, glutting on the spoils and boasting to their severed ties with the human world. Though a large bounty follows in the tribe's wake, no human can survive the hunt for its leader. Siren grows quiet over time, speaking little and foregoing her songs as she distances herself from your military. One day she simply walks out of the camp and makes for the wilderness of the Tears. Rumors reach you're here that Siren is occupied in an abandoned mountainside temple. Her vow of silence drawing a small group of respectful followers. You leave her in peace. She went from singing to silence? By abandoning your decorated career in Kairos' military, you gave the Tears room to define the path ahead. The future will not be mapped by foreign ideals or the will of a distant autocrat. It is only a matter of time before the Overlord launches a retaliation. You will be ready to face it. Without allies, the winds are especially cold atop your spire. You await Kairos' inevitable advance, brooding over the decisions that led you to this point. Though the Tears are a friendless place, they are indisputably your new home. Pretty cool. That's a neat option. 32x. We did it, guys! We did it! We finished the game! Holy moly! What an adventure that was! That was so freaking awesome. Thank you guys for watching the stream. I really do appreciate it. I gotta go to bed now because I'm super tired and I'm not feeling too well. So hopefully it passes during the night. I will see you guys tomorrow for Pillars of Eternity. We're going to be starting at 6:30 p.m. EST, unlike the usual 7 p.m. that we usually start. We're going to be starting our playthrough of that game. We'll be playing as Cypher. We'll be playing on hard difficulty, not Path of the Damned, but really just hard. And we'll be doing a good playthrough. So we'll be like super good. And we'll be doing the first game and then moving on to the sequel as soon as it comes out. So can't wait to see you guys there. It's going to be awesome. And Endu, thank you so much, man, for being here. We really do appreciate it. It was such a good game, though. I'm really, really glad we did it. It was amazing. It was really good. And I'm excited to see Pillars now. Really, really excited. So, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to give you guys some gold because you guys have been great. And we're going to be hosting somebody. Just hold on. Who is streaming right now that we can give some love to? Yeah, you know what? We're gonna give some love to Tainted Rumbler. Yep. Let's see Tainted. Let's give him some love. He's another member of the True Team. He's also an amazing friend of mine. Super cool guy. Give him some love, guys. He deserves it. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Pillars of Eternity. Bye, guys.